like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's time for Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday. Math Tuesday.
It's Math Tuesday. You're on Texas football today with a newly refound and re-uploaded intro. It's a time when we dive into the numbers, especially when it comes to Texas high school football. And today we're talking a little bit of defense. And we are hard at work on the 2024 summer edition of Dave Gamble's Texas Football Magazine. We send the magazine to press next Friday. That doesn't mean you'll have it next Friday. It's got to print. It's how magazines work. But we are finishing up putting the final bow on it next Friday. And so we are like neck deep in magazine stuff. We're neck deep in Texas high school football. And it got me thinking about
defense.
And specifically the types of teams that we tend to see win state championships last year. Do you remember when I became super popular in Gilmer?
I remember when Mallory Hartley became super popular in Gilmer.
I was being kind of facetious. Gilmer people hated me for a long time.
Yes.
For a lot of.
I think they still do after
a lot
this
of
year.
last season, because I was very skeptical of Gilmer. The reason I was very skeptical of Gilmer is that their defense was giving up some points. They were giving up, I believe, 36 points per game is what they finished at. And I looked this up. They are the first Texas high school football team in at least the last 10 years to finish in the bottom half in scoring defense in their own class and win a state championship.
Wow.
So there's a fun fact for you. It's a fact that's fun. But they won a state championship, that's all that matters. Because typically, the reason that I was so kind of gobsmacked by Gilmer is that when you take a look at teams, typically the teams that rise to the top are teams that have very good defenses. Now, Gilmer played great defense when it mattered most. They won on the margins, and that's all that matters. But in taking a look at which teams we expect to be really good in 2024, I tend to find myself leaning towards looking at defense. And so here's what we're going to do. We did this a couple weeks ago where we talked about the offense, trying to project out the best Texas high school football offenses in 2024. We're going to do the same thing with defense. And there's a couple of different numbers we're going to smush together. The first number is we're just going to take a look at what the best defenses were last year. Mm-hmm. The most accurate and most dependable measure of future success is past success. And so here are, to remind you, the best defenses in Texas high school football, UIL 11-man, last year. In 6A, Vandergrift was the best defense, giving up 7.3 points per game. Houston Lamar and Austin Westlake round out the top three. PSJA North was the finest defense in 5A. Mansfield, Timberview, and Galveston Ball. As well, 4A, Belleville, who of course went to a state championship game, had the best defense in 4A. Tidehaven and Gunner, the two state finalists, were the top two teams in 3A Division II, or top two defenses in all of 3A last year. And then Albany, a team that of course won their second consecutive state championship. They were the finest defense in Class 2A. I don't think any of these numbers should be surprising. I think we need to take a look at these. All these teams. I mean, the worst team on this list, like Cal Allen, got bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And admittedly, there is some context that's going to get lost in here because not everybody plays the same strength of schedule, right? Galveston Ball, for example, the past 2 years has been absolutely spectacular defensively. Part of it is because they played in my opinion, a relatively weak district. Mm-hmm. And so these were, though, the finest defenses statistically in Texas high school football last season.
Yeah, I think Albany is the one that's really impressive because they play a very tough schedule.
They play a very tough schedule to give up fewer than 15 points per game, and I think it's impressive. But at the same time, remember, we saw them on the state championship stage playing against Mart, right? And they were, that's a faster team than they are, and they came up with big plays defensively and really held them down. So those are the best defenses from 2023. We're now going to start the projection forward. And the key number that I'm looking at is the number of returning starters for these teams. And so these are the teams, just looking from a pure numbers perspective, the teams that have the most number of starters coming back on the defensive side. In 6A, there's a grand total of 9 teams that have 9 starters coming back defensively, including Medina Valley, Richardson, Berkner, and Dallas Jesuit. There are a total of 6 teams in Class 5A with 10 starters coming back defensively, like Fort Worth Northside, Plainview, Amarillo, Tascosa. In 4A, 3 teams, Maybank, Dallas Roosevelt, and Sanger, have 10 starters back. Another 13 teams have 9 starters back. I do think it's interesting, as you move down, you see how much more reliant teams are on underclassmen.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, this tracks, right? That it's relatively rare to have 10 starters back on defense in 6A. But at the 2A level, you've got 4 teams that have all 11 defensive starters back. Morton, Junction, Frost, and Bartlett. I don't think any of those teams would claim that 2023 was their shining moment, but they bring back every player from last year. Same with Hughes Springs at the 3A level. They bring back every starter, plus Brady, Poteet, and 4 other teams in 3A bring back 10 starters on the defensive side. So these are the teams that, as far as experience is concerned, these are the teams that are going to have the most experience coming back in 2024. Now, again, if you were giving up 170 points per game, but you bring back all your starters, is that a good thing?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to take those 2 numbers, what you did defensively in 2023 rather, and the number of starters you have coming back defensively in 2024, and I want to put them into a large collider and smush them together. That's a scientific term.
All right.
And so I did the math, I crunched the numbers, and these are my projections. So admittedly, a little bit of art and a little bit of science here. My projections for the best Texas high school football defenses in 2024. In 6A, I go with Medina Valley. It's a team that gave up 13.7 points per game last year, and they bring back 9 starters. You add in a team like Alvin Shadow Creek, which is going into a tougher district, but 12.6 points per game allowed, 8 starters back, and I think Houston Heights is also going to have an outstanding defense as well. At the 5A level, I feel really good about 5A.
Yeah.
Canutillo is traditionally one of the very best defenses in Texas high school football. They are bringing back 8 starters. I feel good slotting them at the number 1 spot. San Antonio Southwest was outstanding last year. They bring back all but 3 starters. And then PSJA North. A lot of some holes to fill, especially on the offensive side, but defensively, locked and loaded, rock solid. They bring back 7 starters from a team that gave up right at a touchdown a game last year. In 4A, I got to go with Carthage.
I, for one, am shocked that you were projecting Carthage to be good.
I want you to remember, this is the team that gave up a little more than 14 points per game last year, and they bring back 8 starters defensively. They feel like the team to beat defensively. Kilgore, their East Texas rival, hot on their heels, about 20 points per game. They bring back 9 stars. And then Port Isabel, down there in the Rio Grande Valley, they've got down there on the coast, 19.7 points per game. They bring back 9 starters defensively.
Well, we said that last year when we watched Kilgore play Chapel Hill twice. It was like, man, when they get a year older and a year of experience, they're going to be very dangerous.
Same thing goes in 3A. I really like what Hooks brings back. 9 starters back from a team that gave up 15.5 points per game. And then Columbus. You're going to hear a lot about Columbus. And a lot of the conversation around Columbus is going to be on the offensive side, understandably so. They've got Adam Schobel back at the quarterback spot. But I think their defense has a chance to really steal the show. They were excellent last year, and they're super experienced coming back in 2024. I think Columbus is going to be very good as well. And then in 2A, allow me to be the first person to tell you, Ganado is going to be super good. Ganado is going to be super duper good. They were a team that, of course, was a state semifinalist last year, a bit of a surprise state semifinalist last year, won Region 4, I think, in a little bit of a surprise. They bring back 10 starters defensively.
Yeah,
they're going to be real good. Same thing goes with Axtell. Craig Horn is doing unbelievable stuff down there at Axtell. They were outstanding defensively, and they only lose 2 starters. And there's Honeygrove. Now, remember the thing about Honeygrove. Honeygrove, they ended up on average giving up 11.8 points per game. You got to remember that, and they bring back 9 starters. You got to remember, they ended their season. They got beat by Timpson, and I want to say Timpson hung like 60 on them.
Yep. So
and
that number got inflated.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think I would need to go back and look. If you remove the last game of the year,
it's lower than that.
Their number might be the best in Texas high school football.
Yeah, I know actually for a fact that it was, because I think we did a segment on it on WTF about it.
Yeah, I mean their defense was outstanding, and by the way, they were pups.
Yeah,
they bring back a ton of playmakers back on the defensive side for Honeygrove. So keep an eye on them. So if you're looking, if you're saying, all right, Tepper sports gun to your head, who's going to have the best defenses in Texas high school football in 2024? Ganado, if I were to pick 3, Ganado, Carthage, and Canutillo. Those are my 3 picks.
I like it.
Ganado, Carthage, Canutillo are my 3 picks as the best defenses in Texas high school football heading into 2024. And inevitably there will be some surprise. There will be some team that they make some 20-point leap. Because
it's like Honeygrove last year.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure most all of them were sophomores,
Yeah.
or a good chunk of them were sophomores, and it's like, you can't predict
Right.
that.
There's going to be some teams that make that leap. But as far as what the data is telling us right now, that would be the team. Those would be the teams that I've really got my eye on as far as outstanding defenses heading into 2024. So there you have it. A look at projecting out the best Texas high school football defenses in 2024 on this Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.